And we are streaming live on YouTube. Well, let's see how this thing goes. Oh God, I can't see anything. Okay, hello YouTube. I hope I'm streaming right now, and I hope that I do not have an echo, although I might. All right, so welcome to EFL Teacher Talk with Sean G. My name is Sean Gallagher, and I am your host of this program that is dedicated to EFL teachers and school managers and school owners as well. So today we'll be talking about something that I do the very beginning of your class, right? Just starting your class. I think it's extremely important when we're starting a class, and I'm particularly talking about in an EFL teaching situation, especially a young learners teaching situation where it's kind of difficult to recover if the behavior is not quite set at the beginning of class. I think this is also true with some of the adult classes, actually. I've had a couple, senior classes that can kind of fly off the hinges if you don't keep a firm, tight grip on it. But most of these techniques that I'm going to be talking about today were developed with specifically the kids EFL teaching market in mind. And these are just some checklists of things that I do when I start a class, because you want to get off to a good start. You want to make sure that it's a clean start and everybody's set and we're ready to go and everything. So I made this handy dandy and analog list of some different things that I will check for. So number one, the very first thing I check for is very simple. I check for attendance. If I have 6 kids on my student list, I try to make sure that there are 6 kids in the class. And of course, this is very obvious, kind of a no-brainer. But anyway, it is the very first thing that I check in my class. Do the numbers match? Does my student list match the number of kids who are in the class? A lot of times, if it doesn't, it means somebody's late. Right? And this is important because maybe you don't want to get really into the class yet because you're waiting for a late person. Okay, so number 2, once I check attendance, I go down to number 2, I do a behavior check. And I just, I kind of look around the room. I make sure that the behavior is within normal parameters. I'll make sure that, the kids aren't hitting each other or they're not speaking too much in Japanese. Yeah, you just want to kind of make sure, taking the temperature of everybody to make sure, again, they're operating kind of within normal school parameters. They're not yelling, speaking Japanese or, doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. So just a quick behavior check. Number 3, in addition to the behavior check, I will also do a gear check. Now this means bags, clothes. I get kids that come in with those cell phone bundles around their neck with a monthly pass and a telephone on it or something. You might have kids with pens and pencils. The other day I had a new pen was in class. I had a kid that was messing around with it. So yeah, you just need to make sure that all of the stuff is stored properly and where it should be stored. So just a gear check. Drink bottles, hats, you name it, cell phones, even their book bags and things like that. Just quick look around the room, make sure everything physically is where it should be. And this is going to really help your class, you have a smooth start to class. And also later when you have to go grab things out of the bags, as long as your bags are where they should be, you'll be fine. Another thing that I check, number 4, I check the kid's mental state. So a little bit related to behavior, but this is, kind of different. Even if they're not, let's say a kid's not misbehaving, but they're there in class and they're not engaged. So this is something that I'm checking, right? I want to make sure that the student is looking at me and, maybe I'm interesting enough where they're looking at me, and then once, they're looking at you, now we can start communicating with each other, which is really what we're doing in an EFL classroom, right? The teacher is initiating a ton of communication with the students. And the students need to be mentally present for that. So, a lot in my classes where the kids are a little bit older, The question, how are you, is a very important question for me in class, because I genuinely want to know how these kids are. So what I might do in this class, I might say, hello everybody, my name is Sean, I am a teacher, and how are you today? Are you happy? Are you thirsty? Are you hungry? Are you sad? Are you angry? Are you monkey? Are you zombie? How are you? And then, of course, kids will usually respond at that point. And it's information that I genuinely do want to know, because I can check their mental state. Like, are you there, or are you communicating with me? So it's a good thing to check. The next thing we have is late students arriving. Ba, ba, da, ba. So during your very first, 5 minutes of class, you're buying time for the late students to show up. You don't want to get too heavy into the material quite yet, because you should do a warm-up anyway. And you're kind of hoping that the entire class is there before you start getting too into the academic sections of your class. So yeah, so during my warm-up, I'm actively stalling for the late students to show up, because I'm hoping they show up. I usually give them about 5 minutes, and actually we have a school policy is after 15 minutes, we shut the door and we're going to say, sorry, you can't take the class that day. So that helps out a lot. I'd be interested to hear what other teachers have as their policies at their schools. And the very last thing I will start to do in my warm-up section of class is then I will begin bantering with the children. During the warm-up section of class, banter is very, very important. It goes back to the communication issue. As teachers, it's our #1 job to be communicating with the students. And so I want to banter with the kids. If you're from the UK, I think the banter term is going to be very easy to understand. And if you're not, so bantering is just, playing. It's like a verbal form of catch, right? You're throwing something out that's maybe a little bit witty, and they're catching it, and they're kind of throwing it back at you, and you're catching it. So yeah, banter, it can be something like, so when I banter, I use a lot of humor when I banter, a lot of self-deprecating humor. I have some visuals up on the wall, a visual of a teacher and a cow, and there's this baby taking a bath too, and things like that. So I might start off with, hello everybody, my name is Sean, and I am a teacher. And I point to the teacher, I say, okay everybody, say, you are a teacher. Or sorry, I might start lower than that. I might say, teacher, teacher, nice teacher, nice teacher. You are a nice teacher. You are a nice teacher. Great. And then so at that point, when I ask them to say, you are a nice teacher, some of the naughty kids or the kids who want to give me a hard time in class will flip it. They'll say, you are a bad teacher. Ha, 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 ha. Okay, that's really funny. And then I'll point to the cow and I'll say, I am not a cow. And then, of course, they say, you are a cow. Or you are a cow. And so that's one of the ways that I'll initiate banter with some of the kids in my class. And actually, I have a whole checklist for banter that I will do in a video after this. So to wrap it up right now, the things that I check when I'm beginning my classes: attendance, a behavior check, a gear check, a mental state check, wait for your late students, and then you can initiate your banter segment of class to begin communicating with your students. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope this uploads to YouTube correctly and I didn't waste the last 9 minutes. Okay, and signing off for today.